Hey everybody, Console Collector here. Today, we're going to take a look at the mighty TurboGrafx 16. The TurboGrafx 16 basically competed with the NES, the Master System, and later on the Super NES and the Genesis. It was a 16-bit system that really was a great system. It was made by NEC, as you can see here. It didn't sell too well. It was kind of in that oddball category of systems back then. It's a real shame it didn't do too well, in North America at least, because, yeah, it has some really good quality games. Great visuals. It's known as the PC Engine in Japan, and it sold way better there than it did here. But nonetheless, today, we're going to look at some TurboGrafx 16 stuff of mine. I had a request to do this video, so let's get started. Here we're looking at the TurboGrafx 16 box. What's interesting is they chose just to have some random guy here, some kid, and then a little shot of the console and a sneaker. It's kind of got an orange hue to the box. Don't know why they chose this as a box art, but it kind of shows, hey, I am a happy kid playing the TurboGrafx 16. So that's the box. Let's look down at the actual system. Here it is. Got the nice little badge here, TurboGrafx 16. Now, TurboGrafx uses these hue cards, little thin credit card style games. They go in this little card slot here. One big flaw with the TurboGrafx is it only has one controller port. So if you wanted to play multiplayer, you needed the Turbo Tap. So here we have the power switch. No LED, just a little orange sticker, just to be like, hey, I'm on. Another big flaw is TurboGrafx 16 only had an RF adapter for video output, which didn't really have that great of quality video. But there was a way to remedy that solution. If we look here, you got this kind of expansion port. There is a cover that slides over top of this, which I have put away. But you could add things on, such as this little guy here. This is the Turbo Booster Plus. Basically, this gave you RCA output for your TurboGrafx, so it really helped out the video signal, the quality of video coming out of your TurboGrafx. As you can see here, it has a power adapter here, and then the 3 RCA outputs. Pretty solid little piece here. You can see there's the port. It basically would just slide onto the TurboGrafx like so, turning it into a much bigger system, but you gotta pay to play. Here we have a standard TurboGrafx game. Right on top, you can kind of see the size comparison. It adds quite a bit of length to the TurboGrafx. So that's the main system here. There was a ton of accessories for the TurboGrafx, such as the Turbo Booster and Turbo Booster Plus. Now, the regular Turbo Booster was simply just a RCA output. The Plus has extra memory for saving games and all that jazz. I actually am lucky enough I have the Turbo Booster Plus box, which is crazy. I got a really good deal on this a couple of years ago. What's really crazy is this was $80 back in the day, which is very expensive. That's nothing to what it's worth today. So, some other accessories is this Turbo Stick. This is basically the arcade stick for your TurboGrafx. No cool clicky sounds like Neo Geo, but it works pretty good. I got no complaints with this. Same kind of font on it here. You got your turbo buttons here, got your buttons here, slow. So, cool little accessory. Move along, I actually have the turbo tap here, which essentially is players 1 through 5. This is what you need if you want to do multiplayer on your TurboGrafx 16. If we look over here, I just picked out a couple of my games here that I like for the system that I own. This is Legendary Axe, kind of a side-scrolling, I want to say platformer slash action game. Pretty good system, or game on the system. Here we have Alien Crush. It's a fun pinball game. It's pinball essentially. I like it. If we look over here, here we have the staples of the system, the Bonks games. Bonks Adventure was the first in the 3 Bonks games for TurboGrafx. Now Bonk was basically TurboGrafx mascot, like how Sonic was to the Genesis and Mario was to Nintendo. Later on, Bonks actually came to the NES, the Game Boy, Super Nintendo, even the arcade. So Bonks moved on from TurboGrafx, but he did start at TurboGrafx from NEC. These are really fun platformer games. If you have a TurboGrafx, you owe it to yourself to play Bonks Adventures. Now here I have Bonks Revenge, which is the sequel to Bonks Adventure. Again, same deal, it's just a really fun action platformer. There is a third Bonks, as I mentioned before, which I do not have. Now if we look up here, I have a game that is not so good, but it's fairly collectible, and it's actually worth quite a bit now, surprisingly, and this is Darkwing Duck for TurboGrafx. This game sucks. That's just the reality of it. I got it years ago for a really good price, and I assumed it would be great like the NES Darkwing Duck, and no, it's not. Not at all. It is terrible, but collectible, so I do enjoy bad games and punishing my friends with bad games. So I keep this around. Keep Darkwing Duck for the TurboGrafx in my collection. Besides Darkwing Duck, we see I have a TurboGrafx controller box. There's another controller in there. It's the Turbo Pad. Now later on in NEC's TurboGrafx life, they actually released a CD add-on called the Turbo CD. I do not have the standalone Turbo CD, but I do have the iteration that came out later on, which they basically released a Turbo Duo, which was the Hue card player here and the Turbo CD attachment built into one system, one console. Now, yes, this is not the actual North American Turbo Duo. This is actually the NEC PC Engine Duo, Turbo Duo kind of deal. This is the Japanese version, essentially. I've never come across a Turbo Duo here in Canada, so I've settled with this. It's just as good. The Turbo CD is region free, so you can play your North American Turbo CD games on here, no problem. The Hue card is region locked, but that's why I have the TurboGrafx. If I can get my hands on the Turbo CD attachment or Turbo Duo, absolutely I'll pick it up. But for now, this works just as fine. So let's take a look at the controller. Here's the Turbo Pad. Pretty similar to the Master System or NES controller, except you got the little turbo switches here. Pretty standard stuff, nothing too crazy. And they actually made another controller for the Turbo Duo, and it's the same kind of setup. Turbo switches. And again, this is the PC Engine Duo controller, but Turbo Duo controller looks pretty much the same, just a different color scheme. So those are the controllers. Now last but not least, you can see here my loose hue card. This is Bomberman 93. I wish I had it complete with its case, but I do not. But this is my favorite TurboGrafx game. It's a great version of Bomberman, and I can't recommend it. I play this Bomberman. It's my first choice over Super Bomberman. I would go to this any day. It's just a really, really fun version of Bomberman. So that's pretty much my TurboGrafx video. It's going to wrap this one up. I want to thank the viewer that suggested TurboGrafx for a video. It's really fun to bust this all out and take a look at it again. Going to be playing some Bomberman 93 tonight. So I want to thank everybody for watching. This was the end of the TurboGrafx video. I am the console collector. And until the next video, happy gaming.